quite like my love. I'm friends, but kill to see him mouth. Conversation like she talking about another deal. I've been sleeping with a ghost, let me tell you what she said. All your exes did you wrong, you're the one they sleeping on. They out of options, fresh out of options, been out of options, straight out of options. Just know what you need, I put in time for it. They just gotta go ahead, my line for it. Sleeping with a ghost, let me tell you what she said. All your exes did you wrong.
Yeah. Swear to God, these niggas wanna see me dead, but I'm alive and I'm prepared. I got your favorite rapper scared. Ain't no need for us to argue about that issue, cause I don't care. You got opinions, I got money making decisions. I took a trip to outer space and came back with a lot of skill. Signed a deal with Lucifer, so clearly, man, I'm here to kill. Swear these against made in China, I don't see nobody real. I push away these A&Rs, trying to give me record deals. I did it on my own since I was 12 years old. Live my life with no mistakes, you think I did this before? How you claim that you a king while I look down on you below me? So these rappers in the game, I acted like a bunch of phonies. Only see you when I'm home, that's why I call you niggas homie. Don't confuse me as your friend though. Got the beat for free, forgot to ask him for the tempo, but I'm killing it. Slowly taking over, go and search me on the internet. I got the people hooked up on my dish like I'm a fisherman, but I don't really need a hook on top of this. You getting it? Niggas talk behind my back, but when I'm dead, it's stuttering. Got the type of flow your favorite rapper keeps on drowning it. No need to keep on wondering. Well, man, I'm here to stay. Yeah, I ain't going anywhere. Yeah. I taught these niggas how to talk and now they wanna talk about me. Go for your album, you will never play. Yeah. Go for man, I'm here to stay. Yeah. I ain't going anywhere. Yeah. I taught these niggas how to talk and now they wanna talk about me. Go for your album, you will never play. Yeah. I ain't going anywhere. Yeah. I taught these niggas how to talk and now they wanna talk about me.
Brand new, what a slap and guarantee. Gotta wait for certainties. Give me this. Brand new shit, it's like I need some murder free. And wait for money. Wait for it, ayy. Wait for it, ayy. I get in the set of scores and ayy. Open course and micropause and ayy. Wait for it, ayy. Wait for it, ayy. Overdoing overseas, ayy. I just got you on the season, ayy. It's like I need some murder free.
Oh, so live fast, die young. Combination, got that combination. Hits on hits, it takes inspiration. Fill me up, I'm getting impatient. She wonderful, yes we kind of abomination, bro. Won't lie, you really function. You move fast, I taste combination. Slow down for me, cause you know. Things you don't know how to hang around with the fake, the things you don't know. Look at the life that we live, you don't know. The liquor cocaine out you what?
I'm blinded, sedated, driving 180, highway, I'm faded, all alone, friendships keep changing, south side, I'm basing, girls want location, but I'm on a roll, with my bro, it's not picking for, Holly, making dough, every show, how I go, lot of friendships, everywhere we go. Girls want location, but I'm on a roll, it's not picking for, Holly, making dough.
They ain't going nowhere. The new wave. MTV Base presents the new wave. They were young, rich, and they got the job.
Listen to the kids, bro.
It's about to begin. Let's.
Baby, baby,
MTV Base presents.
Baby, it's just you and I.
Been around a lot of things, so I know how it goes. Ain't the only just trying to get the ball. Ready, no, she can get it poppin' 'cause I'm popular. Been around a lot of things, so I know how it goes. Ain't the only just trying to get the ball. Ready, no, she can get it poppin'.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Catherine, and I'm very, very excited to be here tonight. It is our first Bandustry with MTV Base. We've done quite a few Bandustries before, and this one is very exciting because we're teaming up with MTV Base. And we've got such an incredible panel tonight, and we're chatting about building your career in the music business today. So Bandustry is really all about people coming together and artists and people in the music industry giving their knowledge as well as sharing information, and there will be a Q&A afterwards, so please make sure that you have lots of questions for the panel. So we just want to give a huge thank you to Monde and Chris from MTV Base for making this happen, and we are really excited to be here tonight. And before we actually start, we'd just like to take a moment of silence for the passing of such an incredible human being and a true legend in the SA hip-hop industry, Double HP. So if we can just bow our heads and have a moment of silence, please. Thank you, everyone. Right, so I'm going to introduce our panel, and I'm going to start off. It's Mante Rabane, who's an artist, Barita, who's an artist, Monde Twala, who's the VP from MTV Base, and Jody Tabisha, who's an artist manager, and now she's an events manager. Please make some noise. They are going to chat about what they've done and how they started in a moment. Please make some noise. Okay, to start off, we're going to ask Samantha. She's got an amazing video that we're going to play quickly to introduce Mante. All right, let's actually start off with Barita. If you can just give us a little bit of information about yourself, where you are in your career, how you started out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Barita. I am a singer, songwriter, and guitarist. I have been in the music industry now for 5-6 years. Yeah. I have 3 albums to my belt. I'm more comfortable with my guitar on me. It's very difficult to talk about myself. But in a nutshell, in the 5-6 years, I have a gold-selling album to my belt, a Metro FM Award for Best African Pop Album, Songwriter of the Year at the Wawelas, and a couple other ones. Very difficult. And I've had the honor and privilege to work with legends like Brahuma Segela, the late legendary Brahuma Segela, Bab Oliver Mtukudzi, Mam Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
Awesome.
And
yes,
I'm currently on my Southern Africa tour that began 4 weeks ago. And the first leg is just about to end. I started in Malawi at the Lake of Stars Festival. I've done shows in Zimbabwe, Botswana, on my way to Swaziland, and to finish off the tour, venues and festivals in Zambia, Lesotho, Namibia, Mozambique, and Tanzania.
Oh, beautiful. Amazing. All right, Monday.
My turn.
Yep.
Ladies first.
Okay, if you want to do it.
Okay,
Jody?
my name is Jody Tabisher. I started in the industry through working with an agency called Black Major that's based in Cape Town but operates throughout South Africa. I started as a road manager and artist manager for the company with Toya DeLazy when we were working with Toya. I then moved on to handling all the bookings for the agency, as well as all of the logistics. I was also Beatenberg's personal and road manager for 2 years. I worked with artists like Abdullah Ibrahim, Spook Matambo, Christian Tiger School, Bongiziwe Mabandla. And then I did a career change, and I'm working with a marketing agency in the experiences/events department. And at the moment, I'm project lead on our Boiler Room Through Music Africa campaign. So we're doing events in Africa, South Africa, as well as Kenya, Cameroon, and future African countries coming this year. Yeah, and that's me.
Okay, Monday, I think you're going to have to, we're still trying to get the video sorted.
I'm Monde Twala. Firstly, let me welcome everyone to Viacom. On behalf of everyone here at Viacom, MTV Base, the BT family, Comedy Central. I think it's an honor to have everyone here and hosting today's event. I'm Monde Twala, so I head up BET Africa. I head up MTV and MTV Base across the continent. Where I come from is I'm a junkie for content. I'm a junkie for culture. I'm a junkie for youth, young people, and I'm a huge music fanatic. It runs in my blood. Actually, it does. I think I enjoy platforms like this because I think it's great engagement. From a brand perspective, I think from an MTV Base perspective is we consider ourselves a platform that enables that puts talent on, and we try and champion talent as much as we can. We champion the continent. So if you look at what we do across the continent, it's pretty impressive, I must say. But I think we're one of those platforms that's able to really showcase African talent beyond our borders. So cross-border is important for us. And I think it's something that's important for our industry. Sometimes I think we become a little bit too SA-centric, and I think because I'm South African first, so from a South African perspective, I think we need to start looking at how we can take our music beyond our borders, so that we become global brands and not South African brands. So I think that's something unique about us, and something special about South Africans. If you look at what's happening in Nigeria, if you look at what's happening in Kenya, TZ, I mean, artists there are breaking out, and I think there's a window of opportunity for us, for our industry to break out and let's start telling our stories and taking our culture, to the world. That's an important sort of value and vision that we have for the MTV Base brand, for the BT brands. If you look across all our key programming temples or specials, from BT Awards, we had Sjava getting a newcomer recognition at the BT Awards. We've had Black Coffee, we've had Wizkid, Davido. It's all about putting our own on those platforms, because I truly believe that we can compete and become a global force in terms of just African culture, and it's our time. Our time is so opportune. It's now. We'll continue chatting and sharing. Let's do it.
And Mante, I mean, I know that we're battling a little bit with the video, but I think that we've all seen some of the visuals that Mante has put out with the video. So just give us a little bit of background about yourself.
Dumela Lekai. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Thank you for making time to be here. My name is Mante Rubani. I'm a creative director and co-founder of Derubani, creative collective, which I co-own and direct with my siblings. And we started our business 5 years ago, I think 6, no? And it's been such a powerful journey through, you know, prayer and consistent perseverance and all these disciplines that you need to stay alive in this creative world. Also musically, I got an opportunity to co-work and collaborate with OK Sharp, Jervis Gordon from London, and we got signed under Hyde Park record label. And it's been an incredible learning journey because I never thought I'll be the music chapter. And it has really immersed me into a different world. And I got to take my art disciplines through my performance mediums. And also we got nominated for the Jill Peterson Worldwide Music Awards, which was quite a powerful step because it was our first EP. And I was, you know, just started my first step into the music world, and it really opened my eyes into a different dimension. But I guess there's also power within everything you say upon yourself. And before you start anything, you always have to speak life to everything you do. I think that's what carried me to this moment, and I got to share this moment with my siblings. You know, we've been through a lot, but the fact that we take care of each other and we work together. They send me invoices to send to the client. And the fact that we can communicate business and grow and build narratives that are really impactful. You know, recently we just, collaborated with a very big brand, and we consulted them. We sold our idea to build a commercial ad, which is coming out next year. That was like, oh my God, it was such a dream. So it's so important, never underestimate your ideas. Actually, it's so important to package everything. And we got to understand it through our challenges and understanding that our idea is a blessing, and that blessing could really feed us. And, you know, through our late parents who instilled so much drive and passion, we're here to actually tell our true story. And thank you so much for this moment, and let's proceed.
Okay. So I see a lot of established artists here tonight, which is absolutely awesome, as well as a lot of young, new artists that are here. So I think that a lot of the time in the music industry, there's all these young artists that are looking to create their brand and really make it. So they're desperate for this information that you're going to give tonight. But even the established artists, for them to hear different perspectives is really important. So I think, like, in the beginning, like, what brings us all here tonight is the fact that we all have this love for music. And then it's just branching out and deciding which way you're going to go. So I think building your brand and who you are is really, really important. And not only do we have two musicians that have got very specific brands, but we've got MTV Base that is a massive brand, as well as Jody, who has like worked with different brands. So I think let's quickly touch on brands and how you decided on where you were going to go in the beginning, because I think that that's really important. We can start with you.
My journey is a little bit different because, so a little bit about my background. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, born and bred there. I moved, when I was 16, I moved with my parents to New Zealand, where they work as dairy farmers. And that was my first experience of being in the diaspora and of understanding who I am as an African in a bigger global world. And the real reason why I started making music was because I wanted to have a voice, and I wanted to have an African voice and tell an African story and an African narrative. So after spending 3 years in New Zealand, I moved to South Africa to study in the Eastern Cape. And in that first year of moving to South Africa, started playing shows in hospitals, community centers, you name it, where there was people playing music, I was there. I never thought that within that year I would get an opportunity to actually go into studio and record my album and take out music. I hadn't had the foresight of that in my mind. So when I got the opportunity to record the music, I hadn't per se decided what brand I was and what music I was going to make. I would say I'm still in the process of building my brand as I would like it to be perceived. But more than anything for me, because I'm a soul artist and I'm a soul singer and a storyteller at heart, for me, the music and storytelling, the voice and the guitar comes first and builds the rest of what the brand is.
And Monde, just tell from like MTV Base's point of view, what do you sort of look for when it comes to brands and musicians? And what advice can you give upcoming artists as well as established artists?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it all starts with, it starts, for me, there are key elements. And I think the first element is obviously there's a market out there. So the market, it being, there's a youth market or whoever you are targeting as a brand, as a musician, be it your genre, your style. If you differentiate yourself in terms of understanding who's your market, I think that's important. And I think that's what we always look for, because as a platform and as a media platform, as a content platform, we defined by the market that we serve. So young people today, what do they want? That's important. So what do they want? What are they listening to? What's their narrative? So the culture of the day, the trends of the day, it's reflected in who you are as a brand. And from that point, that's basically your foundation to then build on. And we look for that. So we're a platform that plays specifically youth driven music, youth driven genres. So be it Amapiano, which is now bubbling now, hip hop, gqom, you name it, house. We play music across the board, and that is really based on the market and what are these young people listening to. Most importantly these days, it's even where they're listening, okay? Because that also influences how your brand grows. We all what we want to do, we all want to either drive sales, we want to drive mass appeal, we want to drive popularity and grow as brands and drive a following. And now the digital space is becoming even more and more important. It's also a huge advantage, because now a South African, a Zimbabwean can easily promote themselves on digital platforms and build their brand, outside their borders. So I think that's also important, and we do that and analyze that every single day of our lives, because I think what's important is really understanding the culture of the day and how you can then amplify to build your own brand and staying relevant also.
And Jody, I mean, you've worked with a lot of different artists who are all different brands in their own right. Just tell us a bit more about sort of management point of view and how you direct those different brands in the industry.
So I think one thing that's important is understanding the market, like Monde said, but also understanding that the market is oversaturated. So you have 100 rappers who are doing hip hop, and 50% of them are singing the same things, and 40% are established rappers, and 10% are saying something new. And I think the industry and the marketplace wants to hear an authentic narrative that's new in that. So you see artists that look up to the established artists. So you have lots of people that sound like AKA, but there isn't space for another AKA in the market. So understanding the market's good, but also understanding that you need to, firstly, you can't just serve the market, because then you are serving a short-lived thing. You can do a single, but then there's no album behind it. There's nothing more behind it. So you can serve the market to a degree and get a short-lived thing. But I think you need to think sustainably. And I think beyond that is being authentic and telling a narrative that is authentic. Because I think even though the market is oversaturated and we're listening to so much, I think being African, we resonate with good music. We listen to something and something hooks us. And just with my work with Beatenberg, nobody was sounding like Beatenberg before. They didn't go in saying, we're going to do this song, but they did something that the market resonated to, but it wasn't for the market. So I think understanding the market's a good place, because it's a music industry and there's a business and there's things around it that you have to understand. But I think telling your own story is important, being authentic is important, and producing something that is fresh is also important. So I think that's like my thoughts on that.
And Mante, I mean, you had the brand, and then you went sort of into the music industry. So you had the brand. You started with this amazing brand. Well, just your look and who you are, and what you are as a person. And I mean, I feel like you are just like so out of this world in a sense. How do you keep on like evolving as a brand?
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Sound, I think, okay. Thank you so much. Wow, Mel. I think I need to firstly thank my parents. I mean, they've instilled so much in us. I remember so vividly when our father used to take us to his presentations, because he used to do a lot of sports and entertainment. He used to build a lot of sports facilities in Soweto, charity works, and seeing him building an idea, he'd go to like these presentations and we'll sit at the corner and we'll look at him. My brother was like probably 2 years old, and sometimes, I don't want to embarrass him, he would poo on himself and, it had to be the mother of the day. But the fact that our father took us everywhere, he was teaching us something. If you have an idea, believe in it so much that you can speak amongst people. And that's how he got to collaborate with brands. He got sponsors like Schweppes Granadilla. They sponsored his shows, YFM. He was the guy, the cool guy back in the days. And growing up around that environment really helped us to also build our own company, Derubani. And in terms of, building a brand, I think brands always look at the discipline you have, because talent is only 2%. And what makes it, or what completes your talent, is through so many mediums of discipline. It could be the discipline on what you say on Twitter. It could be the discipline on how you produce or curate your social media platforms. And people will always associate themselves with someone that also takes quality serious. What you say, how you dress, how you present yourself, those are the key elements that will attract the right key agencies or even brands to affiliate to affiliate themselves with your brand, because I believe everyone is a brand. It's just how we navigate and curate ourselves. So it's so important. It always starts with the building block, and I got to understand that through my research. I used to look up to Katie Era. She's a young designer from London, and she did a collaboration with Nike. And I was like, wow. And that was before I even started Facebook. I was just like going through magazines because it helped me to escape my world. And then I understood that that world can happen if I also create that world within myself and my siblings. And, and also understanding what my father has instilled in us. So, it's just a memory that you always have to keep, but also you understand that it's possible because you've seen it. But yeah, it's just understanding the fact that, brands will always affiliate themselves if you really have the strong discipline to maintain the certain quality that is important, and I think that's it. I hope it is.
So you've created your brand and you've decided who your audience is. How do you interact with this audience? How do you get them to the shows? How do you make them pay money so that you can survive?
Sorry. Or you can go.
No, go. It's a conversation. It's a total conversation.
Okay, so I used to, back in the days, my mom used to be a dancer, basically. Sorry, guys. She used to be a pantsola lady. And but she was a school teacher professionally. Back in the days, there was a lot of opportunities. So I'm so glad that I was born in the 21st century. No, 1988, so still 20th century. And you know, the fact that I could, you know, start in the industry through my dance, then immersed into doing commercial ads, then it immersed into like working for artists. So I used to dance for like Nhlanhla, Mafiguzolo, Malum Cat, all those people, and then I started touring the world with the Antwoord. Also, that was a different communication internationally, so I got to understand how important the international communication was. And then I was so inspired that I got home. I was like, yo, guys, let's start our own collective, actually. And we started Deribani. And with the music came 2 years after. And then it was a UK record label, Hyperdub. We started touring. But I felt like it's important to start what we started with Deribani. We're building narratives through stage with our art performances. We're always creating different experiences. So every show we do, it's never the same, because we feel like if it's done before, now let's think again. What's the next phase? How do we navigate or curate the show so that we can pull a new audience? And it's always hard, you know, especially when you like very abstract, always thinking ahead, because you look up to Bjork, you look up to, you know, people that are doing really pushing boundaries. And when you bring it back home, it's such an experience, because people are more excited to see your next show because it's never the same. And we got to understand that because through my experiences working with artists, being the backup dancer, and then I got to understand that if I get the chance, I want to do it this way. I want people to feel this way. And it's through passion that we have, because we always think, no, guys, we can't be, let's push it further, you know? And that's the drive that they keep me driven. They keep me in tune. So, and also the audience, when people start coming and supporting and understanding what we're doing, and, you know, gradually we start gravitating with the right audiences. So I think it's all about your intention, what's your intention at the end, and you'll get a good reaction. And purely, it comes purely, yeah.
And I mean, Burita, I mean, you busy on your tour at the moment, so you're playing in a whole bunch of different places. How do you attract that audience to come and watch you?
I think, so earlier in the year, I went independent and started my own company, Asali Music. And the first question I had to ask myself was, where do I see myself? And for me, the most important pull is emotion that I give to people through my performances. And I had to realize that I needed to put myself out there. And I've always wanted to take my music all around the continent. So when I did my first tour earlier in the year in East Africa, I saw a reaction in my social media that I had never seen before. Like, I was playing shows in Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya, but I would have someone saying, when are you coming to Cape Town? When are you coming to Durban? When are you coming to Eqonce in the Eastern Cape? And then that's when I realized that actually people want to see me live. And again, you know, I have to, what you're saying about consistency, I had to realize that the only way that I can pull people is if I'm consistent with what I'm doing and consistently putting on my own shows. And through that, I've gotten some really incredible opportunities where promoters that wouldn't have reached out before then reach out, because then they can see the excitement around my fans. And I guess that's the way that I've been able to pull audiences. Yeah.
And then Jody, I mean, you worked with all these artists, and they all had sort of maybe similar audiences, but a lot of them had different audiences. How did you get those audiences to the different shows? And with what you're doing now with events, what are you doing in terms of music and getting audiences to shows?
I think an important thing is communication. So I book artists for events all the time. They're like, cool, book me. and I Google them and I can't find information. I go onto the Instagram and there's no email address, and I go onto, there's no SoundCloud link. And so I think if you saying book me, you need to have some sort of social media presence so that people can find you, so that they can know where the events are, where the gigs are, so that they can go and support. And I think, and this kind of goes back to knowing the market, is to speak directly to that market. So you can be the best artist, but if you're not telling people, I'm going to be here at this time, and you keep telling them, it will get missed. Because the way we scroll, it's like everything, you just scroll past information. And I think it's like that's a big thing. Because you struggle when there's no information going out saying, this is where I'm going to be, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing it. And you have to be like consistent in that. This is who I am, this is where I'm going to be, this is how I'm doing it. So that consumers, because now being an event manager, consumers can see that and, okay, this is what you're doing, this is the type of music, and I'm going to support. And it's interesting because lots of artists don't have things in place. So I would love to book you, but there's no information. So I have to slide into DMs and then wait 24 hours for a reply, an email address, and then artists don't reply to the email, and then it's a missed opportunity. So I think in that space, like being consistent with communication out to people so that people know, and social media makes it easy to do it. So I think that's a good place to start, with just communicating what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Burrito, you chatted about moving from a record label to independent, and I think that's on a lot of artists' mind is like either signing with a big, or trying to sign with a big record label, or doing things independently. And I know that a lot of artists are with big record labels and then have gone independent. Let's just chat. I mean, everyone here can chat about record labels and being independent. What's the pros and cons?
I think what artists seek at the moment is a true partnership. I think that's what we're looking for, right? You know, we're looking for support, you know, from ground level, you know, from the songwriting to the recording of the music, production of the music, to the assets as to, you know, what it's going to look like visually. I think because we need that, if you're going to be with a record label or have some sort of partnership, be it's an artist agreement or a licensing type of partnership or a JV, I think it needs to be set out clearly as to how that's going to be worked out in that relationship. And the reality is that most of the times as artists don't really have the funds, you know, or the team to put that together. And as someone that's released 3 albums, and I've worked in a situation where I was on an artist agreement. I've worked in a situation whereby I was on an artist agreement, but it was, you know, I had communication with the licensor. This year I really had to think about where I want to take my my music, and I kind of made a decision on my own that if I'm going to have a partner and they don't have an international investment to it, it doesn't make sense to me. Because I am in a space whereby I'm able to, you know, partner with creatives, partner with producers to create the assets that I need. And also the fact that we have direct communication with our fans. It's so exciting when you're in studio and you share that information with your fans, and you see the reaction that exists, and you actually realize that the most important people in this puzzle are the artist and the fans. And with the way, you know, there's simple things now, like I don't want to disclose information, but there's
No,
like
disclose.
for example,
We're all here for the
I'll use
disclosing of
a simple
information.
example. I'm a touring artist. I'm on tour right now, and obviously people are not buying CDs as much as they used to. But because I'm on tour, after people experience me live, they want to take my CDs home. They want all 3 CDs. And I had a situation recently with a record label whereby I needed to buy my own CDs to sell on tour. And the PPD price has gone up to 70 Rand. So PPD price is basically the price that you buy the CD at before you sell it out. So first of all, if I'm buying a CD at 70 Rand, how much am I going to sell it for? And not just that, I have to wait at least 7 to 14 days to get those CDs delivered to me. I recently had a situation whereby I had a live show and, you know, I couldn't get my CDs, and I felt like I was letting down my fans that came all the way to see me for a show. And I asked myself that if I was an independent artist and all I had to do was print 1,000 CDs, because CDs are not selling, and I could get those manufactured by myself, not only would I make money on the artist royalty that my company pays to me, but my company would also make a handsome profit, and I wouldn't have to deal with the record label that's telling me that, oh, physical CDs are not selling and da-da-da and da-da-da. So those are kind of like minor frustrations, but I do feel like at this point, if the investment is not clear from the record label, whatever the situation is, I don't think it's a viable option for an artist.
Brilliant. Straight to the point, you know. I'm still learning and growing, but I'm so grateful that I have a brilliant team back home, my siblings, and Warren somewhere, yeah. I'm still learning, growing. That's all.
Wanda, I think just from your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been sitting here thinking about a couple of things, and I think, you know, you mentioned partnerships. Okay, so from a media perspective or a platform perspective, what we try and do all the time, we try and partner with artists. You know, I mean, we open for business. You know, so if you come here during the day, hence we are even partners on platforms like this, because it goes beyond just about a music video. That's not what the market's looking for anymore. They can get a music video on YouTube. They can get a music video on their phone. So if you're gonna play in the space, you have to be authentic. You know, you have to be very clear about being on top of what's popping, being on top of what are the trends, being on top of that narrative. You know, and just be inspired. You know, we're an inspired bunch of guys who work in this business. You know, we're just inspired. We're inspired by music. We're inspired by the diversity. I mean, I'm looking around here. We're inspired by diversity. At the end of the day, all of that is fun and games, which takes us to our topic today, which is the business of the business is what it is. You know, so you know, if you can do the business and have fun and change lives and inspire whilst doing it, and change the narrative and promote your culture, you know, in a global space, etc., even better. But what it does takes partnerships. You know, we need to think things through. We need to try different models. Yes, record companies are going to say to you, oh no, we can't print CDs anymore. No, it's just CDs don't sell it. We only can do 1,000 copies, and then we'll wait. And you know you need more than 1,000 copies, you know. So guys like Ricky Rick, look what they're doing. Okay, Ricky says, I'm going to release my own stuff. I'm going to release it online. And guess what happened with Ricky? He built a brand just on that, at the back of that kind of disruptive mindset, you know. So that's also exciting. You know, it excites all of us when we see people who are doing disruptive tactics. Look at Casper. Okay, Casper. You know, most artists we know. You know, you wait for the booking agent, you wait for the promoter you wait for the sponsor to come up, you wait for MTV Base to call you. You know, and you know you get them. So some people wait. They release projects and then they sit there and wait, and say, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to do my own tour. I'm going to book the Dome. I'm going to find a way of booking the Dome, shut it down, and I'm going to do it. These guys are doing that. You get them? Like it's crazy. I mean, I remember when I first heard it, I was like, ha, 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 ha. Sure. The guy did it. You know, and I'm telling you now, when I speak to Casper, he was stressed. He you know, I look at guys some guys who are selling their CDs. They literally go to taxi ranks and street corners and they hustle, selling their stuff. You know, I respect that. But also the honesty is that you need partners. You need to. We all need to play in a space where we are evolving every single day. We need good management. Okay, we need good management. We need honest friends. Because some of us as friends, we're not honest with each other. You know, your friends got like a whack track, and you're not gonna say, "Aye, Joe, aye, don't go to the," or your sleeve. You know, the cover of your sleeve. Let's just be like frank with each other and say, "No, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna pop. It's not in line." You know. So there's a fine line between the art and the science. I think that's where I come from. That's kind of my space, where on a daily basis, it's the balance between the guy who's walking through here and saying, "I've got a new project. Please put me on. Let me play it." And the team sits there and go, "Okay, cool, fill in this form." And we do a process because we have to be transparent and clear. But then your video or your track doesn't make it. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't make it because there's also a quality to it. You know, so we are all looking, it's that whole debate, quality versus quantity. You know, we're all looking for quality. We're looking for something new, something fresh, something authentic, something that stands out, something that's evolving the space. And if you look at the brands and the artists and the people that are successful and are finding success, these are people that actually partner. You know, you're not going to do it on your own. I think for me, that's kind of my advice, because this business is real, man. You know, at the end of the day, we all have to go back to some banker and answer what was the return on the investment. You know, but at the same time, art is beautiful. You know, but art can also be profitable, and we should aspire to that. Okay.
Absolutely. And Jody, working with different artists who obviously had different ideas in terms of being independent and having record labels.
I think that it's important to always remember that record labels are like their purpose, and what they are out there is to sell music. That's what their purpose is, and they try to do it in a market that's changing. So they're not the bad guys necessarily, but that's the first thing to always remember. I think it also gets tricky in the South African market is that there aren't enough people in the industry, booking agents, management. So you find people who are doing everything. So you have the record label who is your manager and your booking artist. So then you look at what are they getting out of it, and it sometimes turns out into exploitation of artists because they profiting on 3 levels. And in the States and in different areas, you don't have your manager and your booking agent and your record label the same person, because you need to be held accountable in certain spaces. So record labels do serve a good purpose, but you also need to have boundaries in place, and that's where good management comes in to push back. And just experience. We've also had experience of having to buy like your CDs yourself. And there is a downside, but there is a plus side if your record label has connections throughout the world, because even though they might not be doing the best thing here, there's an opportunity to grow. So there is a plus side to record labels, I think. But I think it's always important to remember what their purpose is. And that's throughout industry. People's purposes are different, and you need to understand what they do. Because at the end of the day, it's not friendship. It's business. And people want to make money. And I think there is money to be made in the industry. But I think people start to take monopoly and start to try to put their hand in every pot. And that's when artists get hurt, because there's nobody looking out for artists and there's nobody pushing back. So I think, and definitely there is, like I said, good purpose in record labels, but there is conflict of interest in certain situations.
Okay, so just before we open up the floor to questions, I mean, we're specifically chatting about music as a business, and I think it is important to remember that, yes, music is an art, and what we are creating is this magical thing, but we also want to eat at the end of the day, so it becomes a business. So if you can just like give a couple of key elements that you feel helped build your music career into a business, or just some advice in terms of where people can just get some form of direction.
For me personally, I am in the process of that. Started 4 or 5 months ago. But I think the most important thing is consistency and really realizing that it's about the music at the end of the day. And just keep on keeping on. You know, I think that if you're going to do this and you're going to do this for a long time, you definitely have to have a long-term perspective. And like what Jodi's saying is that I have been in situations whereby as an artist, I'm the last one in the pie. You know, I'm the one with the thinnest slice of the pie. And it's very hard to try and look out for yourself if you're by yourself. But the most important thing is that consistency. And what I found is don't be shy as an artist to build relations. Like, I like what you said, my brother, because people would think you actually come here to drop off your music only, whereas it's actually nice to come in and get to know everybody, you know. Because more than anything, if this is a partnership, right, and we're going to do this for a very long time, you try and not be greedy, not come into, you know, spaces just for the transaction, but to actually realize that when you impact, like what you're doing, Mante, like there's a young girl in Soweto that is growing up and watching the stuff that you're putting out visually, and their life will never be the same again, and their dreams will never be the same again because of that.
Thank you.
And I think that the idea, guys, it's the idea of value. You know, so for me, value means that value means that you bring something, you add something, you uplift, you inspire, you. So I think for me, it's the idea that how do we as an industry connect, be it from a platform perspective as a broadcaster, digital platforms, be it iTunes, everyone that you approach, you have to think about what value are you going to add, and understanding your value also is very important. Okay, so what you bring into the partnership is important, you know. So, and I find that becomes a differentiator in terms of either that artist or, you know, I mean, listen, we also, you know, we do programming. So sometimes we produce, I mean, we just produced a series called New Wave, where we did a call to action online through our social platforms, etc. And we found, you know, young up and coming talent that hasn't even released a track, doesn't even have a music video. We brought them in here, you know, we listened to their music. They all came in here, listened to their music. The ones that we think sound unique, they sound special. We went downstairs to the basement, not at some fancy studio somewhere. Went into the basement and we shot amazing music videos. I'm not sure how many we actually did, but we did quite a few. That for me, I think that's game changing, because now here's an artist without a brand, without a music video. It's an artist who just has talent and did a sample at the back of their garage somewhere, put it on. They actually have the talent and they're willing to put themselves on and take an opportunity. Some of these kids are going to be big stars the next cycle, because we know we all live in a cycle, you know. But they're going to be huge one day, you know. So I think also just the idea of understanding value, you know, what are you bringing to the party is like the most important thing between the good ones and the great ones and the not so great ones. You know, and I think when you play to your strength and play to your value, I think that's where you're gonna find success. You know, and then you just stick to it. We've spoken about sustainability, consistency. Just stick to it. You know, you know how you pop. You know you've got a following. Stick to it. Stick to your formula and milk it for what it is. And then over time, obviously, the new cycle comes up. You know, the new sound comes in, the younger guy comes in. You then partner with them. You then follow where the trend is going. You know, trap was trap a few years ago. You know, now things are evolving. Now I'm seeing hip hop cats are now bombing it now. Trying to comment or trying to comment, you know, whereas like a few years ago, Gom was not even. Gom was like, yeah. What's this kitty? You know, you get what I'm saying? But the thing is, in this space, in a creative space, we try things out. We're not going to win every day. You're not going to win every day, you know, but you have to just keep at it, because if you find your groove, just keep growing it, and then find the right partners, and let's just kill it, you know. And we open for business. So if guys have ideas, guys have projects, ideas come from the oddest spaces. I'm sitting here already. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Mental note. Tomorrow, get a phone call, and we move it on. I mean, that's the value of engagement, and that's the value of also understanding yourself and your groove, you know.
I think there's like a quote that says, be ready, so you don't have to get ready. And I think that you have to be ready. So you have to take it seriously. You have to, if you are a musician and you're talented, half of South Africa is talented. But if you're not going to show up on time for a sound check, if you're not going to have a technical rider, if you're going to show up drunk, and these are things that artists and aspiring artists do all the time, because they think the music's going to carry them, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. And I worked with Abdullah Ibrahim, who's a jazz legend and is 85 years old, but he's always a half an hour earlier than his call time, and he walks in and he greets everybody, even though everybody knows who he is, and he has his water and he sits, and he doesn't make anybody wait, and he does his sound check, and it's beautiful. And he's been doing that for years and years and years. And then you have artists who arrive 5 minutes before the performance set, and they get upset when you don't get hired again. So I think talent's important, and I think majority of South Africans are extremely talented, but they aren't ready. And there's sometimes a level of entitlement with artists where they think that the job is fun and games, when it's a job. And I come into work and I have a call time and I get there. And it's the same with artists. And the industry in South Africa is quite small. So people speak and people remember and people know who comes. I know what artists come on time and what artists don't. And I don't often book the artists that don't. Because it's a partnership. So if I'm not going to trust somebody to come and be there, then I'm not going to invest. And I think a lot of people are saying invest in me, but it's an equal investment on the other side of the business management side, of the industry side. And so I think working on your talent and making sure narrative is there is really important. But I think stepping up and doing the work is equally important, because you're not going to get a viable career if you don't do the work, if you don't show up on time, if you don't do the things that are expected in every other industry. And it's great because you can live your passion, and there is money to be made, and you can get a partner with MTV Base and have a music video. But if you're not going to come on time, he's not going to invest back. So there are opportunities, but I think artists need to step up and be able to partner and invest equally.
Jody, thank you so much. I'm gonna start with like self-care, because I mean that's the reflection of who you are. So if you don't take care of yourself, how can the next person take care of you? And in terms of behavior, like discipline, be on time, what Jody said, because it's a reflection of who you are. And those key points, actually, it's either they it evolves you as an artist or destroys you. Being late, not taking care of yourself, smelling like alcohol, whatever. Like, it's quite disrespectful. Like, I'm going to touch on self-love first. I got to understand that through international tours and seeing how people behave. It's so iconic. Like, people really take their job serious. Like, yeah, I'm a backup singer, but I'm going to be on time, look good, look neat, presentable. If I have a bad skin, go to a dermatologist, fix it, because your face is a business card. So it starts with you. Stay healthy, exercise before you go on tour, you know, eat healthy, change your diet, you know, those momentum. It actually, because the more you exercise, the more brain cells you gain. So, and also, you know, because also once you build that confidence, you get to understand your next chapter, which is setting up your goals. Okay, next year, what am I doing? It's already 2019. How am I going to achieve this idea that's been calling me, you know, and setting the tone for that? It could be 5 goals. And already once you achieve 2, you've already, you know, your year has already ended. And it's just understanding the key points of setting up your goals, who to propose your idea to. I have an idea for the show. How can I collaborate? Also, collaboration is also the powerful key tool that also helped me and my siblings to be where we are today. Through collaborations, we got to experience, learn, listen, stay humble, greet everyone. You know, at the end of the day, omotukabat. Also, the third part is execution, because an idea does not exist until you execute it. And that's the most refreshing feeling, even when we execute our ideas, and to see it evolve from an idea to planning to respecting everyone that believes in you, and also building it and seeing it come to life. It's the most iconic moment, because you're already thinking of the next phase. How can I, and also understanding that challenge is the best experience. Like, never start your day undermining yourself. What we say upon ourselves, it's what we will actually attract. So if you say, today it's going to be the worst day ever, already you manifesting what has. Give your day a chance. We haven't started. Can we just start the day? You know? And it's so important to start your day with a positive thought. What you say upon yourself, it will happen. And trust the process. You know, not everything comes to life at, you know, not everything works out the way you wish at a certain time. But also trust the process. Speak life to your ideas. Look at your ideas, your goals, and like, okay, we have to do it, but also put action and build collectives. Like, hey man, I'm looking for a photographer, I'm looking for a designer, I have an idea for a show, and I'm looking for a lighting designer, and looking for a visual designer. You know, you're already building a team, partnership, as you said, as everyone said. And it's so important because it starts there. And there's a consistency, there's a momentum. And you start, but they will believe in you when you believe in yourself first. So it starts with self, write it down, execute, and the rest will follow. And keep that momentum, stay healthy, stay positive, write it down, execute, stay healthy, stay positive, write it down, execute. And we're gonna live nice, you know, you end up building your mom's a house or like whatever, like you, and because you get to understand also the business side, how to also take care of yourself. You can take care of others, you can take care of your business, you can take care of the team. So yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely amazing.
Okay. We also like a little bit of crazy though, you know. so sometimes, you know, we like you know, that's the media space. We like a bit of crazy. We like a bit of, you know, diverse characters, you know. So you know, a little bit of crazy does sometimes sell success though.
Yeah, no, as long as it comes neat, you know? Come neat. Stay crazy, but neat. Like Tyler, the creator, he's crazy, but he's neat. It's like, it's what part, like if you are a top brand or an investor, you'd like to invest in him because he knows how to execute. But he's still crazy, but neat.
Yeah. Being well packaged is a good
Yeah,
thing.
you know, it's very important. Yeah.
All right. So, does anybody have any questions? I'm sure there must be questions. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Bandustry, #Bandustry, and share some of the knowledge that you have gained tonight. I mean, the panel is sitting here. They are sharing their knowledge. Share some of the tips that you have gotten over this evening. Please share it on social media with other artists that aren't able to be here. So, any questions at the back? I think come forward.
Okay, so I made a couple of notes. Firstly, I wanted to say shout out to Bandustry. Thanks for putting this event on. It's super amazing. And MTV Base, super amazing. Sorry, could I just get the 4 names? I got Jody, I got Monde. Sorry, I didn't catch your name and your name.
Berita.
Barita.
Berita.
Mante.
Mante. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. You guys give amazing advice. Okay, so I wanted to start. Everything I'm going to say is kind of linked into each other, but it's like all over the place. Okay, so it's from starting to at the bottom, reaching the top, and like in between. Okay, so you mentioned, I'm going to like state the things you mentioned, building your brand. So obviously that's the most important thing to every single person that's here, including yourselves. But like you said, Jody, a lot of artists that we have are amazing. It doesn't, like, hard work beats talent 100%. Like we have amazing artists in SA across the world, but that has nothing to do with it, in my opinion. Okay, if you look at I think it was Monde, you spoke about artists that, how do I say it? I'm gonna use like artists as an analogy. Like if you look at what's his name, like Lil Pump. Okay, you could sell, in my opinion, you could sell absolutely anything in the world. Okay, today, like, I made a song about what you said. Okay, you said write it down, stay healthy, execute. If you put a badass hip hop beat behind that, okay, if someone had to drop a beat and you had to freestyle, okay, write it down, stay healthy, execute. You know what I'm saying? Like those 3 lines, okay, write it down, stay healthy, execute. That could be a hook, it could be a rap, it could be absolutely anything, okay? Like if I had 5 minutes in a studio, I could make that a banger. But but that doesn't mean that it's gonna sell, okay? Because the market is saturated. So suddenly I make a badass beat, number 1. Number 2, I have some sweet ass lyrics, but I can't sell my song. I can't do anything with it, okay? How do you take that to the next level? In my opinion, it's 3 things, okay? The one thing is money. Obviously, you need money. The next thing is marketing. You need marketing, otherwise you're nothing. And then the third thing is a badass music video, because you can't do anything without a badass music video, right? That is our scene. That's what it consists of. If you don't have those 3 things, you have literally nothing. Okay, so like hopefully you guys can answer my question. Sorry, I'm taking long. I'm just trying to sum it up. Okay, then, so, and the next thing, being an independent artist, you have limited time. So you, in other words, cool, I can lay down my banger. Like I call myself a jack of all trades, master of none. Okay, like I'm doing 10 different jobs, but I get paid for none of them. Like, okay, so I make my own beat, I write my own lyrics, I record my own music, I film my own music video, I edit my own music video, I do my own artwork, I market my own song. Like, you know, MTV Base has like a structure for everyone who's doing everything differently. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Plus, then Jody, I have to book my own shows. Okay. Like, does anyone else feel my pain here? I don't know. I'm sure you guys were there at one stage of your lives. Okay. Then, okay. So I believe the basis of what I'm saying is, yes, consistency is key. Like, you have to be consistent. But, okay, like the Antwoord was max normal. Before the Antwoord, I don't know if you guys know that, he was max normal. He tried that, he failed. He was still consistent. Now he's successful, okay? I believe in that, like, never give up no matter what. But I guess, like, what is that main master thing that everybody is looking for? I believe there's an answer for my questions, but there's still no answer, if that makes sense. Like, you either try and you put it out and it gets there, or it doesn't. Okay. I guess like what I'm trying to say is, like, I believe there is a certain process. Okay, no matter what. If I had to stand here, excuse my swearing, and I had to say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, that's what every hip-hop dude does, right? Like Lil Pump, like, and all those dudes. You can sell absolutely anything you want to, but what is the process to do that?
Okay. The process. That's a loaded question. I'm not sure if it was a question. Listen, I mean, just the simplicity of it is and I'll simplify it this way. Just from my perspective, is really, it's the market, guys. What's the market? What's the culture of the day? If you're an aspiring hip hop DJ and you want to do a project and release the project, is there a process? You know, is there? Yes, there is a process. You have to obviously have the right. You have to live that culture because you understand the market. So there's no point being a gqom artist or a hip hop artist and try and play in the gqom space, because then you're out of place. You're not authentic. You can't build the fanfare. So part of the process, and me, because I'm like an old school guy and I like doing things the old school way. I won't tell you my age, but you know, back in the day, the process was not recording an album in your back room or having access to recording studios, etc. Guys used to just get in a garage, play some beats, and you know, guys were in bands. And what did they used to do? Go to the nearest corner shop, you know, or go to the nearest festival, and the festival is you play to 5 people at a festival somewhere. That's what guys used to do. And therefore, you play at school. You know, you used to do school rounds or bar mitzvahs, or you know, I don't know where people go now. Okay, but the idea is that you have to start somewhere. Okay, so I think the process means you have to start somewhere. And if you analyze, if you understand your market, you understand who are you targeting with your music, with your art form, etc., the genre or the culture, the people you are talking to, that's where you go. And then what are they listening to? So you analyze, what are they listening to? And then how do I then do that, but differentiate myself? How do I become Mondetwal and stand out in the crowd? Yeah. Okay? You have to, these are things that you have to figure out, you know? It's not really rocket science, because if you are, I mean, if we all think about Kwaito, okay, and I mean the sentiment that Kwaito's dead. Kwaito's not dead. I hear Kwaito every day. I see it every day. You know, you know. I mean, R&B. Some people are no, they're not in. I hear R&B in our own sound. You understand what I'm saying? I hear it every day. I hear, you know, are we mimicking? Are we mimicking? You know, there's all these debates that are we mimicking the US? Are we diluting our culture? But now I'm hearing cats confidently sing beautifully in their own language, and they're putting it out there, they're putting projects. So we've evolved, guys. We've actually evolved, and I think our sound is becoming so international. It's beautiful. We just have to figure out how we get it out there in a more aggressive, structured, profitable, manner. I think that's important. The process is going to be different for everyone. So that's what I'm saying to you, my brother. The process is different for everyone because it's really based on who are you, what's your art form, and the market that you are serving, and have you figured out where they are? Do you go to Bram to, and on a Saturday afternoon play to your crowd? And are they clapping for you? Or are they just like, yeah. That's the reality. The process will be different for everyone because also it's about access. And I want to be honest, guys. I also want to be honest. It's the friends you keep. If you network and you keep the right friends, you kind of access the right resources to get the shit done. And you get the push because you know people and you know how to network, how to market, that's just how it works. I can't not say it doesn't work like that because when you build a good network of people that are influential, you will succeed. But that also means you have to be dedicated. You have to sacrifice the time. You have to come to these kind of forums. You have to exchange your number. You have to put yourself out there and be bold and brave. It takes guts and glory, to be honest, to get where you want to be.
And just to add on, I think it's also a spiritual thing in a sense. There's philosophy and timing, because I think most of the art forms that are successful in the sense that there's sustainability or there's commercial success, it's because of the why. It's because even when Kwaito came to be an art form, there was a reason behind that. Even when trap music came to be, even Gom, there's a reason. There's it's almost because I don't come from a space, my brother, where the type of music I do is not per se youth, pushing. I'm a singer-songwriter. So, I've had a song that people to this day come up to me and say, my child is named after your song. Your song got me through a difficult divorce or a difficult time. So it's the same thing with, any art form. There's a philosophy. There's a why behind that. And yes, a purpose. And timing is God's. You make your art form may come into being, like he spoke about an artist. Oh, my Afrikaans is really bad. Yes. He spoke about how, he's had 2 tenures in his career where he was something else and then he became something else and he became commercially successful. And I think also that's God and that's timing. That's you can be doing something for a very long time until, there's that shift. And because your purpose and the philosophy and the reason why it's being done is so strong, there comes a time whereby, it takes over.
And at the end of the day, I don't think you should also look at because half of the time, so this one time I went to visit my nephews and they have MTV Trace, watch TV, because we don't have TV, only have a library and Wi-Fi. But half of the time what I saw on TV, I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything, but I'm going to say something. Half of the time I felt like we needed parental guidance with the visuals that are being promoted. As you said, probably I need a bonkers video to be relevant. So when you say bonkers, probably there's nudity, there's girls half naked, there's alcohol, sex, drugs, whatever. And these are the key elements that probably that's the influence. Half of the time what you see, you get influenced by. And you start, and you feel like that's where the world is, and I feel like this is it. Maybe I need to create that. I think stay true, create you. As Ausi said, like the perfect timing of Wadi Jones to, you know, to the Anvort. He had to transcend into a different chapter of creativity. He had to understand his purpose. And also he didn't follow what half of the videos that he saw on Trace or any other music channel is like, okay, I'm gonna get girls, I'm gonna hire a car that I don't even afford, maybe hire my friend's cows or whatever, create a perception that does not exist. I think we need to stop living in that world and start building our own truth. And once you start telling your truth, it becomes a reflection, and the right people gradually come to you. You don't have to conform to the norm because you want to be, you know, accepted, because now you start lying to yourself. That's when the self-care comes. Self-lie. Oh my God, I need to be cool. I want to be cool. No. At the end of the day, the right people come to you, and they'll mean a lot to you, and they'll build you. And gradually it grows because you understood yourself and what your intentions and what you want to bring out to the world. We have young girls that look up to us. So everything we do, we're not doing it for ourselves. We have young boys, my nephews, they look up to us. So everything we do is not about us or the now or the society or the conformity of what the world is creating. Create your own truth. Be the change that you want to see. At the end of the day, I don't want to have my younger cousin saying what he saw on TV. Oh yeah, okay, you know, it's like, yo, what are we living in a society like this? I think sometimes create change. Like, let's create a different conversation, narratives, different films. And it's fine. That's what we see half of the time, 24/7 on our channels. But maybe if we can start new channels to educate, motivate, new directions. Because at the end of the day, we have the young generations looking up to us. So what are we doing?
So on the corporate entity side, you've got a lot of gatekeepers in that space. So as a brand, as an artist, you obviously seeing yourself as a brand. To try and get into that space and seek those partnerships is always tricky because there's a lot of gatekeepers, and those brands are quite risk averse. So how do you come in and present your brand as a new entity? Because Coca-Cola or MTV or whoever it may be are more often aligned to the already kind of industry players, and AKA Chicana, the guys who are already making waves, and they're more of a sure thing. It's a surer bet than going to a new entity. The content might be great, but they don't have the clout of a A-list celebrity. How do you navigate that space? How do you as a new player come in and try and sway them to go, don't go with the sure bet, go with me because I can provide X, Y, and Z?
Listen, I think it's how you package it. If you look at, I mean, guys, do me a favor, just watch our channel and try and kind of, I think if you look at the base brand, you can actually figure it out. You know, so we've got obviously different music blocks. We've got different programming. So we're actually, music videos are just music videos, and that's sort of a component of the scheduling and the programming. The other side of the programming, we've got shows. We've got long form shows, formats that give opportunity to artists who is a freshman, or, you know, the Come Up, for example. We had the Come Up where we were just like, you know, trying to inspire young artists to tell their story about how they started, what's their process to get to where they go, because that then will inspire the next person. We have an open door policy. You go to our website, you can see how you submit your music to us. It's very easy, it's very straightforward. There's no hierarchy, there's no layers. There's a simple committee that meets and reviews. We put it on. And then we decide it's going to go in this block, that block, that block, because obviously we also compile and program based on a market that we know we serve. So we've got a very clear target market. So, for example, I'm not going to play a rock band on MTV Base because that's not my target market. I'm very clear about my demo. I know where they are. I know where the cool kids are, and that's where if I've got a new rock band that I want to, I'll put that on MTV. Because I've got a block there that puts music for alternative markets that are away from the core bass brand, you know. So there's that. For me, it's about how are you packaging yourself, you know. And how do you want to partner? I spoke about value, so I think also we need to move. I mean, I think sometimes I get upset, especially because I work in the youth space, and there's this sense of entitlement, you know, and I know these are passion. You know, art and music is a passion. It's a passion thing. It's from here. It's a spiritual thing. It's this. So sometimes it's so difficult, and I like being very direct and honest. It's so difficult to guide people or even have that conversation when someone believes in their own ideas and falls in love with their own ideas. Your ideas have to be flexible in your ideas, because there's great power in people adding value to helping you evolve and helping to shift and shape your ideas. So sometimes I know artists, they're so in love with their sound, they're so in love with the idea, they think it's the best thing ever. Listen, there's nothing beats collaboration. Nothing. You know, nothing beats color. And to be honest, it's beautiful because it's actually art. You know, it's no more this subjective thing. You know, and we have to be a little bit more objective and technical in our approach. You know, in terms of how are you going to approach me, and how are you going to present the value, and do you understand my needs? Do you understand my needs as a partner? You know, so I think that's what it takes. Like I said, you know, we generally very open to discussing ideas. Ideas with us, they come from everywhere. But you know, we want, obviously, if you're going to come to us, come to us with ideas that you know that they will sit within our value chain and our industry and our target market, and you've done some kind of work, you know, and you're not just painting pictures, because it's all good and well. We can all paint pictures, but doesn't mean the picture's beautiful. You know, and we have to be open and direct about these kind of conversations, because it is a serious business. You know, I know I don't have the time to like sit through 10,000 ideas. I'll sit through 10 ideas that I will value, substance, they've been thought through properly and measured. You know, we have to be measured. You know, we have to say it's going to cost X amount for me to build a project, a music project, and I've already identified potential partners. And when you go to those partners, you're going to present value. You say, this is what I'm bringing, and this is what I know it will build for you. You know, it's not about me, but more about umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, and we're building and we're building each other. And I think that's how we're going to change this narrative.
I think that we used to say, when I used to work at Black Major, we used to say that music sells everything besides music. So that's where there is a lot of money in brands. But brands are also learning. Brands are looking at engagement rates, because you can buy followers now. You can have 100,000 followers and only 100 people are actually engaging. So it's tricky, because the nature has been that, you know, a brand hops onto a person who has 100,000 followers, but if you go to that person's Instagram, they've worked with 7 different gin brands in the last week. And brands are becoming, it's been a long road, but brands are becoming more clever with the collaborations that they make. So if you can prove that, look, I might only have 3,000 followers, but the engagement rate is like really high, because people are looking at, and I haven't bought fake followers, but out of 3,000, I have 300 likes consistently. Brands are looking at that, because that's somebody that they can grow with. And working in the brand space, we see it. We see, okay, let's get somebody who's going to do a post, but they've done 7 posts about different brands. So maybe it's better to look at somebody with a better engagement rate that the following is lower. So there has been an issue with it, but I think brands are learning. There is insight in it. So if you have a band that is suited for a brand, then go to that brand. But your band or your artist isn't suited for every brand. Your band can't be suited for a gin brand and MTV doing hip hop and wanting to play at Kirsten Bosch every concert series. So you also need to be smart in who you're approaching. And I think there are gatekeepers, but I think there are people who are trying to kick like as many doors down as possible. So it's trying to figure out who that is. And to answer the other question, I don't think you have to be everything. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to be the music director and the songwriter and the booking agent. You need to know what you're good at. If you're an artist, you're good at making music. Find somebody who's studying marketing, who's good at marketing. Find somebody who's studying photography, who's good at photography. And then find somebody who's studying sound engineering. And then you have a team. And then you go to the brands. You come to MTV Base and you say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I can do. This is how I see we grow. And brands are going to say, okay, cool, I'm going to consider it. But if you go to somebody and you say, hey, check my band out, and the Instagram's private and they've done 7 different things and there's no music and there's nothing behind it, that's when issues come. But if you do a presentation or you put something together that says, this is who I am, this is what I can do, this is how we can grow, I think there are people out there that are wanting to listen and are wanting to grow. And I know it's frustrating, but I do think that the industry is changing. We're trying to figure out how to like break the ceiling when it comes to brands and all these things. And I think that there is hope for the industry.
Is it on? First, I'd like to give a shout out to Bandustry, Melissa and Kathy. So I got 5 questions basically, right? I want to keep them short, each one of you. I'm going to start with Mel. Kathy, sorry, it's the beer. How do you guys plan on ensuring that you guys host more of these platforms? Because a big constraint, right, in the industry is a lack of information. So how do you guys plan on hosting more of these, and how frequent are they going to be? Because this is my first time attending, like a lot of people. So I'd like to know more about that. To see here, I'd like to know, since you said that you own your own label, right? As an artist and as an owner, how do you keep the discipline to ensure that you can still deliver the best product that you can with your music, and ensure that as a boss, you can put the food on the table? And then for Monday, how do you guys stay competitive, right? Compared to your Channel O's and Trace and Mzansi Magic, like, what's the mandate that you guys get from the guys upstairs? Like, you guys need to remain as the #1 leading youth entertainment, company. And then for Jody, you've been a artist manager, right? So like, for upcoming artists, what would you say is a perfect team? Like the key players as an independent guy who's just started out in the industry. And then for Amante, I've noticed that you've blown up more overseas than you have at home, right? What do you think leads to that, other than you being signed to an international label? Because you find like instances where like you find guys like OK Malum and Spook Matambo, they first blow up overseas and then they blow up here. What is the reason for that? Thanks.
Okay, amazing questions. All right, so just in terms of Bandustry, we've actually been going for just over a year, and we've been hosting once a month. We started out really, really small, and it has just grown. We recently went to Durban and Cape Town. We've gone to different parts of Johannesburg. We've gone to Pretoria. We've gone to Soweto. We've hosted in numerous different places. And I think that the longevity is that the conversation of music and the industry and building the music industry is never going to die. It's going to constantly evolve. So it's getting new people on the panel every single time and talking about different topics and really getting the engagement with the audience. So, and I think that the new partnership with MTV Base is just going to get bigger and bigger, because I think we're reaching a whole new target market. So I think it's going to be really exciting. And as I said, like, everything starts small and then it grows. So we definitely have grown over the last year. So yeah, once a month is where we're at.
I believe my question was around being the boss and being the artist. Yeah, I think it goes back to the first advice that I got when I started my own company. It hasn't been long, so my experience before is with different labels, but I'm basically 3 people in one. I'm Asali Music record exec, I'm Berita the artist, and I'm Ukukuletu Kumalo. That's basically me. Yeah. I'm 3 of you. But you know, I think it's a holistic approach. I really like what Usisi said about self-care, because I practice that throughout those 3 parts. I have to, as Ukuku Kumalo, be well, even when it comes to, because the biggest thing is it's a financial thing, right? So what I've tried to do is try to find out, you know, what are the strongest parts of Berita, the artist, and as a record label, what am I trying to do? I have short-term and long-term goals. And I had to, for example, with the issue of release, my record label hasn't released music yet. But in that instance, I had to realize that the first thing that I'm going to do is release a single and release it well. And because I have experience in the industry, I'm able to bring in other partners for that. As an artist as well, I'm able to bring in partners for the artist. And as Ukukuletu as well, I'm able to make sure that I earn enough of a salary to look after Berita, the artist. So that's kind of how I look into it.
Well done. Okay, cool. So how do we differentiate ourselves and who? I mean, maybe the simple answer is maybe just saying who we are. You know. So you know, MTV Base is it's not a music channel. Okay, we consider ourselves a culture brand. You know, so that really drives everything that we do. You know, so yes, we're a music and lifestyle entertainment brand. That's what we do. We're a content business. So, you know, creativity comes first. You know, in fact, our key filter with everything that we touch and do is that it must rate, as in people must care about the content we put out on air, including those naughty music videos. People must care about the content we put on air. So people care about the trend of the day, the culture of the day. So it must rate. It must obviously be shareable, because, you know, we are partners with you. You come to our platform, you partner with us, we put you on, you grow. We support that. So we support the industry. So I think that's very, very important. And also, it must make business sense, so that, you know, it must be sellable. Okay, so I think those 3 things kind of drive how we interact, how we play, how we differentiate ourselves to any other. And then most importantly, we also are a Pan-African brand. We really believe in elevating the African story in a global space. Okay, that's really a narrative that really about how do we then project ourselves, our culture, our music, our youth. I mean, you know, the largest population in Africa are young people. Young people make up, you know, the numbers on this continent. And young people drive culture. Young people drive change. Young people drive disruption. Young people drive trends. So that's, for me, is like such a powerful space to be in. Hence, we can't just be a music channel. It's not about just the beats we play, the events we host. It's about sharing we're sharing. We're all here today. We're engaging. We're sharing. So it speaks to our values. It speaks to our commitment. You know, we really live the brand. You know, I haven't been around for a while, but I'm here at this time, and I'm like, cool. You know, my family will see me because I'm doing what I love. My team is here. They do what I love. My colleagues are here because they love that. We love what we do, and because we're committed to it, I think that's how we're finding success.
So my question was, how do you build the right team? Okay, so two things. In the beginning, when you were speaking to Kath, you were speaking about there being a lack of resource. And I think if you look for it online, you do find a lot of information. You can go onto, there's a website called Coursera, and there's a free music business industry course, and you can take it, and it's like, I did it. I wanted to find out more, so I went to look, and I found out more. It's called Coursera. And there's podcasts, like Oprah has a podcast, but she speaks to Jay-Z about how he does things. And there are resources if you go to look for it. So I think we live in an age where you shouldn't make excuses for lack. I think you can go online and you can find anything. You can Google a cricket dancing and you'll find it. So I think if you make the effort on finding information, it does exist. And then in creating your team, I think starting with the music. So make sure you're creating good music, whatever that means. So if I'm a vocalist, I'm going to make sure I'm collaborating with a good band and I have good music. Once I have good music, I try to find a good manager who can take it. Once we have a good manager, try to find a good sound engineer. Once we have a good sound, and you grow. But you have to start with the music. You have to start with something substantial, and then you take it step by step. So I think if you are feeling lost, maybe just start with the music. Start with creating something amazing, and then sell it to somebody, and somebody will buy into it. And eventually you can come sell it to Monday and you'll probably buy into it because you would have created something. So it can get overwhelming, but I just think take it step by step and you can get there.
Thank you for the question. I believe that impossible is not an option. I got to understand that when I got my first passport. I was like, I looked at it, I was like, okay, how are we gonna travel? How is this gonna be possible? Am I even gonna afford to buy a flight to travel out? And through my talent, it helped me to also understand the world globally. But I also had to speak life to myself. And I started gravitating to the right people. You know, meeting Jervis Gordon was quite like a very eye-opening, but also mostly it was being around the Antwoord. It was like, I felt like it was a book that I needed to read and understand the power of discipline, that you can actually travel the world and also understand the global communication. With the music side being signed under Hyperdub, it was quite like, and Hyperdub, they're highly respected in the music industry internationally. And to be part of that, I also had to set my goals. Like I believe getting this passport, Alexander, Home Affairs, and I was like, it's possible. I guess the impossible is not an option. And the fact that there's so much, support internationally, I think it's through the aesthetic that I bring on stage, lighting, we prepare, visuals, garments. I'm always like thinking, okay, how can I make the last show be better than the next show? Like how do I grow? How do I also understand the global language? Being around the Antwoord also, like they are guys, I know they look like, oh my God, they look crazy, but they're so disciplined. The discipline that they have, it was like military lifestyle. Being on time, if you're 2 minutes late, you either get a warning or you get fired, like hardcore like that. And I got to understand the power of discipline through that. I don't understand. Okay, I'm still also trying to figure out, sorry. But I also believe in perfect timing. The fact that gradually in South Africa, there's also a support. You know, people are also, when we get booked, people also come. They, you know, gradually in time. But also, I think that's the thing about getting so much, you know, so much support internationally, and when you come home, it's like, oh, you'd wait, like, yo, am I getting booked? Am I doing it right? Maybe I should try this. It was hard, I won't lie. But I think also getting the right agency, getting the right management team in South Africa, it also helped me and Deribani to also explore and also create a gallery through our performances. And now we're getting booked but we're still selective. How we set the tone, we don't just perform anywhere else. It has to be like a very good budget because we have a team. We build from styling to like lighting to visuals to that. So it's a congregation, you know, and we all have the vision to like create, because once we create that experience, it's going to create more opportunities and we can get paid and maintain our lives. So gradually, thank God, South Africa is like looking out now. It means a lot to actually be booked back home. Then you travel out, you do shows. But also what we build when we're overseas through the social media, people got to also be excited. Like, yo, I really want to experience what they're experiencing. So to have agencies and promoters back home to be like, hey, we trust. It's quite a brave move for them to also be like, we need you guys for the show. And when they tell us, like, yo, we had to convince the client, because apparently you guys are too, you know, you're too abstract or we too. But however, I think people are ready for change. And that's the joys. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I know that there are a few more questions, but unfortunately we have run out of time. I know that the panel will stay for a bit afterwards, so please network. They are available for you to chat to quickly afterwards, right? Yes. Yeah. Amazing. So a massive thank you to everyone that came out tonight. A huge thank you to Bandustry and to MTV Base and our incredible panel, Barita, Monde, Jody, Mante. A big round of applause to them. And then a big thank you to JHB Live, Content Bar, Good Guy Vibes, and everyone that put this together, Nicole, Melissa, Gary, Vicky, Francois. And then a big thank you to our DJ, the Jazz Real, and he's going to play some tracks for us afterwards. So please network, please stay behind. Please also follow us on social media so that you know when the next one is. Invite your friends. Get the conversation going. It really is important. And we want to interact with you, and we want to find out who you'd like on the panel, what questions you have. Please follow up on social media. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much.